Capella.
Just 1 or 2 more minutes and we will get things underway. Thank you all for being here again today. If you want to go ahead and get started on some dialogue, everyone could drop what state they're in and the name of the organization they're with, or just your name works also. Seeing some familiar names out there. Midwest Youth Services, Jackson Street Youth Services. Love seeing previous partners showing back up for our partner calls. Some representation from Shreveport. Y'all are gonna have a hot weekend this weekend. Yes to youth. Still just a couple of more people trickling in. We're gonna start in just 1 minute. Everyone is gonna be muted for the conversation, but there will be opportunities for discussion. So don't hesitate to take yourself off of mute to ask questions during those times or to make helpful statements for other partners that are looking for information. Yo, gotta love when you start your camera and you are this close. All right, hello everyone. Happy Thursday. Happy partner call number 2. It's an exciting day because, and since I've worked for this organization, this will be the first time that we actually have these partner toolkits available at the time of the call. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to just remember that you can find the partner toolkits now on 1-800-RUNAWAY's website. That's going to be 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM. There are 2 toolkits available, which is obviously what we're talking about today. So let's go ahead and get things started. So first, I wanted to just introduce myself again for anyone who was not present on the last partner call. My name is Christopher Smith. I'm the Communications and Graphic Design Manager at the National Runaway Safe Line. I've been here for going on 3 years now. And I will be pretty much your main contact for anything that you need help with related to NRPM. So as we continue to have these partner calls, as we actually get into the meat of National Runaway Prevention Month itself, you can always reach out to me to get help with anything that you need. I will try my best. I also have a few different people from the communications team with me here today. Our Chief Engagement Officer, Jeff Stern, is with us. Natalie Ruchidlo is our, again, I always want to apologize for pronouncing that wrong, but I feel like I get a little bit closer every time. Natalie is our Digital Communications Manager. And then we also have Beth Richmond on the call with us, who is our PR consultant and also a huge asset, especially when we get into talking about the national events and things that are happening around the national events. Go ahead and, so just in case you weren't on the last partner call, I'm just going to really quickly give a rundown of what that was. we did what's called National Runaway Prevention Month 101. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see my screen okay? Just a few head nods will do. Perfect, seems like my screen is sharing. So we did NRPM 101. Basically, if you're not familiar with National Runaway Prevention Month, if this is your first time participating with us, or if you've never had a real definition of how NRPM came to be, basically in October of 2001, a bunch of national leaders met with the White House Conference on Exploited and Runaway Children to raise public awareness of the steps that parents, law enforcement officers, and other communities need to take in order to make America's children safer. So this conference essentially culminated in the launch of National Runaway Prevention Week, which has since expanded to the month-long prevention and awareness campaign as we know it today. So throughout NRPM, we call upon all of our partner organizations across the country to help us bring awareness to the fact that 4.2 million young people are either homeless or facing homelessness at the present time. So today, after last week's launch, we want to talk specifically about these toolkits. The toolkits are really your ticket to planning your own successful National Runaway Prevention Month campaign. And again, I want to just reiterate that our team at National Runaway Safe Line is here to help you as best we can. So I want to also make sure that as we're talking today, that I give you a little bit of a sneak peek, but there's not a ton of screen grabs in the presentation, because it's really important that you go out and download these toolkits, really read through them and recognize all the tools that are available for you. Formulate any questions that you have about them and bring them to me if you can. Also, we offer two different toolkits. We offer a youth toolkit and a partner toolkit. But you shouldn't assume that one toolkit is the right one for you. We offer two different toolkits because there's different messaging in each one of them. So even though you're a partner, doesn't necessarily mean that the youth toolkit isn't for you. You may have a youth group with your organizations or know young people who would be great at being youth ambassadors. So it's also important for you to take in that information and have it available to share so that we can engage more and more young people. As we always say, the youth voice is the number one thing that we're looking for when trying to communicate this need and what youth homelessness is, really what we're doing to prevent youth homelessness. So back to focusing on the toolkits. Again, has somebody already dropped the link in the comments for the toolkits? Perfect, so those are available. Just a quick rundown on how to choose your toolkit. So the partner toolkit itself is for runaway and homeless youth organizations, school and after school programs, local leaders, organizations, anyone committed to supporting youth and families. So that also means people that you know who may donate to your organization if they're looking for other ways to get involved. You know, these are definitely people that we want to get these toolkits in their hands, which is why we provide digital copies. They're really easy to download. Then we also offer the youth toolkit, and it's really geared more towards young people willing to share their perspectives and ideas, young people who are really going to get down and get engaged during National Runaway Prevention Month, leverage their own social media circles and friend circles to help bring awareness. Just a little peek into the 2022 partner kit. It's broken up into a few different sections: goals and history, which really go into what the goals of National Runaway Prevention Month, which, if you're not aware, it's to raise awareness of runaway homeless youth, of the runaway and homeless youth crisis and the issue young people face. They're wanting to educate the public about solutions and the role that they can play in runaway prevention and ending youth homelessness, and increasing the visibility of services and resources provided by NRS and also you guys, our partners. This toolkit is, like I mentioned before, for the RHY organizations, school and after school programs, local leaders, organizations, and anyone committed to supporting youth and families. You'll see this has this nice pink design on the outside also. So the youth toolkit. So the youth toolkit is built a little bit differently. The goal of the youth toolkit is to really provide in-depth information on the issues affecting runaway and homeless youth, exploring the different complexities of young people considering running away, or facing housing insecurity. After reading through it, the young people should be encouraged to take on this role of a youth ambassador and feel empowered to help essentially reduce the stigma and better advocate for young people experiencing homelessness. We've always wanted to feature that youth voice, and every year we, kind of chip away more and more at figuring out what the best way to communicate with young people is. And, the results are the same every year. It's making sure that we're actually having the youth voice in the messaging that we're spreading. So these, in my opinion, the youth ambassadors are one of the strongest components of what can make National Runaway Prevention Month successful. Here on the right side, you'll see kind of two infographics that we provide through the Youth Ambassador Toolkits. The hope is that they will essentially just be able to share these out within their own social media networks. Maybe they print them out and hang them in their schools or whatever they're allowed. Like if these young people are working with their schools, there's opportunity to share these in libraries and things like that. So again, reading through the toolkit, you'd be surprised at the amount of resources that are available through there. So what we're looking for in these youth ambassadors are young people who really want to use their voice to create lasting change. They also want to educate others and share the information that they're taking in so that their acts that they're doing through volunteering are impactful and they can see the change that's happening. So these young people are people who are going to actively engage in NRPM, whether it's through events, again, through their own social media circles, or through different volunteer opportunities that the partners, may create for them. So one thing that I wanted to ask, and this will probably come a little bit later, is asking people, are there any RHY organizations that are attending today that have youth-centered programs, like a youth advisory board? If you wouldn't mind just dropping that into the chat, if you have a youth advisory board or any type of youth group that you're thinking about engaging during NRPM or that you could engage. I'm seeing Eli Rowling saying that your program has a youth council. The Night Ministry, of course, has a youth council. So these are the groups that are really great to engage for the Youth Ambassador program. Earlier when I was mentioning just the partner toolkit, that may not be the only toolkit for you. It's really great to have these Youth Ambassador toolkits available to share with these young groups, because these young people, especially with lived experience, are going to be the real driving force in making sure that National Runaway Prevention Month is successful and impactful.
Christopher, can I add something there? This is, hi everybody, this is Jeff Stern. Christopher briefly introduced me earlier. One thing that's really helpful for us is if you have youth action boards, as many of you are saying you do and are intending to engage them in this process, it would be wonderful if they can be as a group, even if it's as a group rather than individuals, registered through our NRPM website as youth ambassadors. You can register like a group the way you would an organization. We just would love to know who is involved, and it would be really helpful for us to know that youth are using these toolkits and that there are groups, even if Night Ministry, for example, is a partner, knowing that the Night Ministry Youth Action Council is even though it's together, knowing that they as an entity are participating as youth ambassadors is really, really valuable to us. Natalie just put in the chat the registration for youth ambassadors, but we'd love to have a big picture sense of all the different groups involved, especially if there's different elements of your organizations that are participating. So I just wanted to add that as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that's perfect. Because just like when we are looking for people to partner with throughout the year for different projects, we immediately go to our partner list for NRPM. It'll work the same exact way with the youth ambassadors. If you weren't able to attend our LGBTQIA2S+ panel in June, it was a panel led by young people, our own youth advisory board. So in the future, when we have additional panels, we would like to be able to tap into other organizations in their youth boards to make sure that they can join in the conversation. So registering as a youth ambassador impacts National Runaway Prevention Month, of course, but it has the potential to go beyond. Now, one key component about the toolkit is learning about partnerships, because of course everyone partners with us, the National Runaway Safe Lines, but you're also partnering with each other. So, the partner community continues to grow. These partner calls that we've had so far have been the biggest partner calls that we've ever had for National Runaway Prevention Month. Our partner list is growing. I think we've already had 39 states represented through all of our partners, and we of course want to cross all 50 states. But collaboration is truly the hallmark of making great change, seeing two different organizations come together to bring their ideas together, two different youth groups coming together. If you can collaborate with organizations who are interested in becoming an NRPM partner that are not normally attached to like the Runaway and homeless youth community, that's also a great way to introduce a whole new audience to the issue at hand, the whole point that we're doing all of this National Runaway Prevention Month stuff. So letting all of the reason that we like to do all of these things so early is to give you time to build out these partnerships. A lot of the things that we talk about through like the national events, they take a little bit of time to build a relationship and get all the forms signed if there are forms that need to be signed, things like that. So we have these partner calls to make sure that if you have questions that pop up while you're trying to do these things, that we can help you with them. So these toolkits are kind of like the first real like tangible things that you can have that has all of the information already put together for you, things that you can literally take out and show to people to be like, this is what we're doing and this is how your organization can be involved. So partners receive various benefits like these partner calls, like the toolkits. I believe the first 25 people who signed up for partners will also get a special package in October, just before National Runaway Prevention Month. So those will be in the mail as soon as that rolls around. Now, another part of the partnership, and I'm going to say this a million times, is leveraging us to make sure that we can help you in any way possible. Even if you think like, oh, they would never do that for me, I will try my best. If you need graphics made, if you have questions about the way that a specific form needs to be filled for a landmark, we're here to help you with those things. So this is just kind of reiterating what's been already said about the different types of partners that are that we are working with through NRPM, talking about like, here's just a few more examples, like scouting organizations, local 4-H programs, DARE programs, things like that are things that you may consider. Reaching out to your community leaders, such as city council members or the mayor, you know, like a popular barber shop or hair salon that like has an impact in your city that's really well known, like restaurants where the mayor goes all the time. Like reaching out to those type of businesses to like help them spread awareness is always a good idea. And you'd be surprised at how much something as small as an email just reaching out saying, you know, hey, we're a part of this community too. We see that you have a huge presence here and we think that you can help make a huge difference. Now, I want to have a discussion just with everyone really quickly, so feel free to unmute yourself. The question really at hand is, what specific groups or organization come to mind when it comes to collaboration? So for us, one thing that we do every year with the Cups charity is a dinner for Thanksgiving that happens right kind of dead in the center of National Runaway Prevention Month. So to us, that's like a sports organization, maybe not necessarily like the first thing that you would think of. And I've also attached a couple of examples, like Project Oz, for example, was able to go around what looks like a whole like downtown center and get a bunch of different businesses just to put in a green light bulb to show solidarity with National Runaway Prevention Month. Like somebody walking down that area says, I wonder why all of these lights are green. That's really interesting. You also see the City of Bloomington Police Department like doing the Lighting the Night Green event, which we do every single year. So I'm curious, either in the chat or unmute yourself, what organizations come to mind when it comes to collaboration? Don't be shy. I know it's Thursday. It's so close to Friday.
I'll go. I don't know if you guys can hear me. I'm Miranda Pond. I'm with the Chico Children's Alliance, and I'm trying to build more collaboration with our local law enforcement community. And I know during other awareness months, like breast cancer awareness, they have like pink patches for breast cancer awareness that are police patches. So I'm trying to work on something like that with our local law enforcement, just because it's such a sensitive issue and trying to bridge that relationship building and community building.
Yeah, I see. That's a really great idea, and thanks for sharing that. Marina, if I'm not mistaken, last year you helped us get lighting for the California Capitol. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm hoping this year to have a sign-on letter with other California organizations, because I want to expand other monuments throughout the state and hopefully maybe work with you guys on doing some sort of PR blitz, or like try and get in the Sacramento Bee or connect it to some sort of policy that's currently going through that would affect runaway youth. But at least hopefully we can get a sign-on letter and get some more monuments in California put up this year. It's kind of my ultimate goal for this campaign.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. I also see a lot of people saying like other people saying local police departments, parks and recreation groups. I don't know what you call it, park and recreation center, university campuses are really great ideas. Something that came to mind for me when thinking about parks and recs are running companies. I'm sure there are lots of different groups that do runs. There's an organization where I'm from in Nashville called I Run for the Party. And it's basically a group that does like night events and then runs the next day, but they always have a cause tied to the event. So like a good idea would be for me to reach out to them about National Runaway Prevention Month and having them do a run for that.
Good morning. This is Elizabeth with the Women's Center in Stockton. Last year, we did manage to have our Collins Electric building here in Stockton light up in green, and I think it made it to your newsletter last year.
Mm-hmm.
It was super cool to see the picture in the newsletter from our Collins Electric building. But whoever, I didn't catch the name, who was talking about California, I want to connect with you.
Oh yeah, there are people, Elizabeth Sanchez in Stockton. Yeah, I'm keeping notes of everyone in the comments who's asking for like a personal outreach. I will email you shortly after the a call today to see how I can help you, or to see if there's anyone on our team that can provide any assistance for you.
Perfect.
Someone is saying there's a running store to kick off NRPM. They're donating 10% of sales for one day to us. That's huge. That's a really great idea. I'm telling you, there's a lot of local businesses out there that would be willing to work with you. It's just all about asking them, putting the word out, showing them what we're all about and how it's going to make a difference in your own community. Any other ones before we move on past like different ideas for groups or organizations that you could reach out to? I see that the police centers and stations are very popular. LGBTQ organizations, yes, huge yes. Another way to get young people, if you have like schools that have, what are they called? I feel like they started right after I was done with school. Gay straight alliances, GSAs, or other LGBTQIS2S+ organizations within the school. Those are great people to tap into, because there's always going to be, we made a commitment to talk more about Pride and keeping that conversation going outside of June. So that's another great organization to include. Libraries, yes, libraries are great resources. Libraries First will always let you hang up a flyer for anything that's going to help out a young person in need. And libraries are also almost always willing to partner with you on things like National Runaway Prevention Month, whether it's just setting up a small booth with pamphlets and flyers, like maybe about a resource that you have, or like our own home free program, if that's effective in your community or want to get the word in about that. Counseling centers. I'm reading through some of the comments now. We don't have a page specifically about Light the Town Green, but I am happy if you're looking for some specific information, Olivia, to send you that. I can reach out to you after this if you need like more information or details on how to do that. We also have a future partner call where we will talk specifically about things like Light the Night and different national events.
We, Christopher, we do have an example document in the many materials that you've provided on the webpage. In the section on the NRPM page, this is related to Olivia's question. There's a section that's called local outreach, and one of the options is a document related to lighting requests. It's an example basically of a letter that you might be able to use. The letter may or may not be applicable. Sometimes it's a very simple application. Sometimes it's a little more involved. Sometimes it's a call. But that tool is already on the site for you. And then it's a matter of kind of seeing locally what what's required to pursue those opportunities in your local community.
Yes. And that's actually what I kind of wanted to look at next was campaign resources. So within the toolkits themselves, there is going to be a page called campaign resources. And it's basically going to tell you all of the things that are available to download on this website, 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM. It also gives some examples of some of the graphics that you'll see. So I just really quickly want to take a quick look at that website. Easy to type in, 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM. Boom. So as you see, website here, you'll scroll down just a little bit. They have a little bit of text and information, but ultimately, as you scroll down, you'll hit the resources section, which is where you'll download our toolkits. Beautiful links to toolkits. This is what Jeff was just mentioning, the local outreach material. So what we have here is a sample proclamation document, media and PR materials, so like getting things out to the media, and then that lighting requests document, which is just in place to help you figure out how these different monuments and buildings choose like when to light up things and the best way to approach getting them to change for National Runaway Prevention Month. And then tons of digital media content. So this is going to include things like the national flyer, which are like we encourage you to share around your local community. Different things that you can use digitally, like the NRPM logos. These are logos without the background so that you can just paste them onto your own graphics. We have an NRPM QR code for the first time so that you can just print this and send people directly to the National Runaway Prevention Month page. Different community PowerPoints that you're able to leverage and use on your own, or like if you're willing to host your own virtual or hybrid events. Another plug for a future call we'll have where we talk about virtual and hybrid events. And then the different things that we talk about through the national events. So like commitment cards that we will ask people to share during Resource Week, different social media graphics that you can use throughout the month. Facebook and Instagram filters, which I'm hoping will be ready and available next week during our call. And I'll definitely want to like walk you through how to find these filters, how to use them, and how to like show other people where to look for them. And then there is also a custom social media graphic button that just has some pre-placed logos and things for NRPM on it, and you can just add in your logo. It's already nicely designed for you. And then of course, a couple of Zooms and Teams backgrounds so that if you're going to have a virtual or hybrid event about National Runaway Prevention Month, it already has like the logos and things on you so you look the part. And then there are additional links at the bottom. So if like seeing the old partner calls that have already passed or the Lunch and Learn series that have already passed will be available here. As these take place, they'll get added to these pages. And then of course, a link to the Let's Talk podcast. And then below that, you'll find other things like the full calendar events. We're working on filling out all of the people who are registered as partners. So hopefully by the end of the week, if your organization or yourself is signed up for partners, in this bottom section here, you'll see your company's logo along with the name so that it's just scrolling through and everyone can see who all of the partners are. Another one, really quick thing I want to show you is searching on social media for National Runaway Prevention Month content. So on a website like Twitter, and it's going to be the same for Facebook and LinkedIn, any social media platform has a search bar. It's almost always at the top left or top right of the page. We chose the hashtag this year, NRPM 2022. Great. There's nothing going to be there except stuff we've posted about NRPM because it hasn't happened yet. But we also did this last year. So if we type in 2021, it's going to show us all of the things that people posted for National Runaway Prevention Month. So if I scroll past your name, you may see yourself. This is why it's really important to use this hashtag, because this is the easiest way for us to see the content that you're sharing. And I again, will go over this in depth during the social media call. But like, especially if you're using the graphics from the toolkits, we really want to make sure to attach the hashtag to everything that you're posting so that it's easier for us to find the content that you're sharing. We really try our best to like follow everyone. But even if we did, social media is set up so that it isn't always showing 100% of your audience everything that you post. So that hashtag is just a lot more efficient at showing us all of the content. Also shame us. If we have not followed you back on social media, like send us a message, send me an email and shame me, because that we should definitely be making those connections on social media as well. Actually, before we go any further, I want to hear again from you guys about what resources in the past or this year that you've heard so far that you're most excited about, or resources that you'd like to see in the future, or see if there's any potential of us getting those together before this year's NRPM events. So again, like, what resources do you find the most valuable, or are you most excited about? And what are some resources you look forward to seeing in the future? I will say that my favorite resource that we offer are these partner calls, because it's the first time I get to meet many of you, and a lot of you actually take the opportunity to reach out afterwards to talk about these partner calls, to express concerns or making sure that we know of like problems that may be happening and things like that. A list of TED Talks, films, and articles that we can share with the community at large. You know, we haven't compiled a list of those things, but that is a good idea. We always have the movie that we seem to revisit regularly because it's such a great film. It's called American Street Kid. I highly recommend hosting a viewing of that film. I believe that we did that last year, but outside of National Runaway Prevention Month, but it's a really great film. Last year's Twitter chat, yes, I agree. The Twitter chat is a huge event for us, and we had a really great participation from some really large organizations like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Youth, NCMEC. Let's see, a directory of partners, because we basically have that already. That's a good idea, so that you can make those connections. Excitement about the Instagram filter. I'm excited about that too. I'm interested to see how that's going to turn out as I'm continuing to work on that. Curious about building a TikTok campaign, as that's on my to-do list. Maybe we should come up with National Runaway Prevention Month choreography. I mean, if we have any Britney Spears', Beyonce's, Liza Minnelli's in the group that can really put on a show for TikTok, I am 100%. I will repost that a million times. If you are engaging at that level on TikTok, please send me an email directly. I really want to see that. I really want to share that out. TikTok is proving to be the most powerful resource for young people, where they're like, young people are using TikTok more than they're using Google, which blows my mind. I'm challenging you. Age is only a number. Dance for National Runaway Prevention Month. It'll be great. Another important resource within the toolkits is the messaging guide. And the messaging guide basically helps you tell the story, paint your own picture per se. So there are 8 different messaging guides available, and they cover the areas of abuse, human trafficking, system-involved youth, youth in foster care, vulnerable youth, Native American and Indigenous youth, youth with disabilities, and then homeless youth or kids who are facing homelessness and also dealing with education and schooling. So this is something where, you know, when you talk about, when we get into the part of National Runaway Prevention Month where you're reaching out to the media and trying to tell a story, or maybe you're building out a special webpage, the information that here is really powerful and really easy to use to help paint a picture and tell a story for National Runaway Prevention Month. So I'm really strongly encouraged, like, if you only have a couple of minutes where you can look at these toolkits, really get into the messaging guide. There's really powerful and important information in there for, you know, your own National Runaway Prevention Month campaigns. Here are some examples from last year. I apologize, I didn't write down the organizations that were able to get these published. If you're here today, please sound off in the comments so that we can give you your credit. These are just 2 of the many examples that were shared with us of people who were able to get a press to talk about National Runaway Prevention Month. So also a good point, if you do get any type of media coverage for National Runaway Prevention Month, please share that with us. That's something that we want to see. We want to see how the media is covering National Runaway Prevention Month. Oh, I can actually see here in the snippet that it says Payne County Youth Services, a longstanding partner of National Runaway Prevention Month, was able to get that first article published. So the idea is basically, you know, using this messaging guide, getting the story out, sharing the story back with us. We want to be able to collect all of these things. So like as someone was mentioning earlier, creating a directory of the different partners, it's also probably a good idea to have collections of these different types of press and media that are being used during National Runaway Prevention Month. And as we talk about press, I kind of have to go back to talking about the importance of timing, or Beth will be very upset because timing is everything. And I can say this a million times. Sometimes we go to people and say, you know, we want to light this building for National Runaway Prevention Month. And within 24 hours, they've like given us the green light and told us that it's going to happen. Sometimes we email people over and over and over and over and over again, call them, and they don't get back to us until a week before. So it's always best to get ahead. Start now, start last week, like sending out the messages to these different organizations, monuments, landmarks, buildings, and telling them what National Runaway Prevention Month is and that we want to light the buildings in green. Reach out to press organizations now, being like, you know, National Runaway Prevention Month is in 2 months. Surprise, it's September the 15th somehow. In my mind, it's like June the 3rd. So time is really flying by and we don't want to miss any opportunities. We don't want anything to slide by just because they didn't get back to us. They like have like a 6-week approval time for a monument to get a. If we go ahead and start messaging people now, then we have a lot better chance of gaining traction on getting those things put together. So I want to open the floor now for any additional questions that you may have about the toolkits, about National Runaway Prevention Month in general. And I will also tell you about the future partner calls that we have, because we do have some more partner calls coming up. Yes. Thanks for everyone saying that they're going to share this with their youth. I'm telling you, just having this youth toolkit handy and just sending, like, even if you just send a simple message to like your youth advisory board, youth action committee, and saying like, here is something to help prepare for the biggest national event around youth homelessness every year, the national campaign, I should say.
Christopher, while you're looking up the dates and times of the other 3 partner calls, if I can just throw in one other idea. This is Jeff, everybody. Christopher's done an amazing job here. And what I want to make really clear is we invite everybody to join on as official partners, whether you do 6 of the ideas that we have in mind, you're doing social media throughout the month, or realistically for you and your organization, the capacity is to wear green on one day and take a picture and share it on social and use the hashtag. There is no right or wrong way to partner with us on this. The more people who partner, it also shows the more people who are engaged in supporting the efforts and support of youth who have run away and experienced homelessness. So I also just say that because we've given you these large toolkits with a lot of resources in them. We don't want you to feel overwhelmed by the amount of resources. They're all ideas. You shouldn't feel as though you have to implement at least half of them in that toolkit for you to be able to be an official partner. That's not the case at all. We would love for you to, of course, but please, please, please join us as a partner, recruit other individuals, other organizations in your community to do the same. And if it means keeping it very simple, so be it. We just want to see as many people as possible taking action and showing their support as best they can. And we hope these toolkits are exactly that, tools to help you be able to do whatever it is that works for you. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jeff. I don't see that anyone has shared any questions or anything in the chat. I just want to give one more opportunity if anyone has any questions, or if you want to circle back to some ideas that you have or things that you've done in the past that were successful. I'd love to hear those things. National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. Olivia, thanks for asking that question again. Let me get some more information on that for you, because I'm not 100% sure. So, Richard, LGBT specific content for NRPM, are you thinking of like graphics or messaging? Now, I think I may have some graphics available for you, and I will add those to the downloads folder, because I agree, we definitely want to have like things that are specifically targeted in that way. Messaging, Jeff, do you remember if last year that our toolkits had messaging for?
Yes. So yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got excited because the answer is yes. A couple things to offer you, Richard. In Education Week, our first week, that we throughout the week, we basically pick different topics where there's an intersection with youth homelessness. I can tell you for certain that issues related to LGBTQ youth will be one of those topics. We haven't picked a day within that first week, but we will be putting up social media messaging throughout that day related to that topic specifically, so that you could share, pull, whatever you want. What we also did, if you look in the toolkits towards the very back, we provided some messaging ideas on several subjects, again, where there's an intersection between that subject and youth homelessness, whether it's related to race. And one of those subjects, using an example, race, I'm trying to think of the different subjects. Foster care, I believe, is one of them. One of them for sure is related to the intersection between LGBTQ experiences and youth homeless experiences. So there are probably 6 or 7 data points to offer you that you could then share out on social media. There's also, we include at the end of the toolkit references where we got those data points from that you could potentially use to find even more. Fascinating one that I have been particularly interested in is Trevor Project's recent survey between LGBTQ identity and especially mental health impact, since we've seen a big rise in mental health cases on our end as well. So there are a lot of different resources where even if we don't provide like a ton of data points, where we might be able to provide you in there other resources that could get you even more data. The Youth Ambassador Toolkit at the end also has a page on that. So it's in both toolkits, and yes, we'll be highlighting it during the campaign itself as well.
Thanks. I thought I'd ask, our teen center and shelter in Altoona, Pennsylvania, just recently started back up our LGBTQ teen group. And it's facilitated by a couple of people from our victim services program. So anything I can share with them is super helpful. So I appreciate that.
Great.
And Jeff, Olivia Dault asked about National Homeless Youth and Awareness Month. I think it's National Homeless Children and Youth Awareness Month, and like crossover between that and NRPM. Is there any like intentional crossover that we've planned for?
There is not. We actually have been, a colleague also on the call, we've talked about this several times, that we've seen a couple instances where there seems to be this crossover, but where they seem to be kind of different campaigns that obviously overlap significantly in the work we do. So it's something that we need to pursue because there's there's absolutely no reason why we aren't working together on these kinds of issues. But the answer is that there is not crossover in terms of our work with folks who work on this other campaign.
Nice. Okay. Well, if your organization is doing something that is specific to National Homeless Children and Youth Awareness Month that you don't like, isn't like fitting into what you're doing for National Hunger Prevention Month, I'd love to hear about that. That's something that, like Jeff mentioned, that's like not something that's, I feel like next year we're definitely not going to be doing it this way where there's not a connection because there's a lot of obvious overlap. So hearing about like what you guys are doing will help us curate our content for next year or potentially get something in place for this year. So again, if you have anything specific to National Homeless Children and Youth Awareness Month that you're planning, please send me an email, csmith@1-800-runaway.org.
Yeah, and also we ask that if you are sort of promoting that other effort, that other initiative, that you try and keep the two separate. You don't sort of marry NRPM messages and images with the other campaign. A big part of why we provide the toolkit is to ensure that we've got a consistent message, a consistent look. And so we do ask that if you're kind of supporting both, which is perfectly fine, that's great, that you just kind of keep them separate rather than weaving them together.
Yes, thank you, Beth. All right, well, if there, again, I know this is probably my 5th time saying this, if there are any questions that come up for you guys, please, please, please don't hesitate to send us a message. No matter how wild you think it is, we will do our best to help and to put things in place. I already see people asking for additional graphics. That's like my favorite thing to do, so happy to help there. And if you catch anything that doesn't seem correct or if you have questions about, please just reach out. We will make sure that everything is taken care of for you. With that, I will officially end this call. Our next call, which is all about social media. Oh, wow, you guys get to hear me talk about social media for maybe an hour. It's going to be great. I may even talk about how to boost your Google ranking result rankings based on the class that I just took. Who knows? But it'll be a lot of exciting and useful information to make sure that as you engage on social media, that you are getting all that you can out of it. And I am really looking forward to that one. I hope that, if you are available today, that you can also join us then. And again, like Jeff said, make sure that you're not just coming to the partner calls, that you're also registering yourself as an NRPM partner. No matter what level of engagement you have, you are partnering with us in this awareness campaign. We're proud to call you a partner. So please make sure to also register. I believe you can just go for anything National Runaway Prevention Month related, you can just go to 1-800-runaway.org/NRPM and it'll pop right up for you. Everything is on that page. Thank you, Natalie.